Hey everybody, welcome to tonight's live stream sculpting extravaganza. I'm a little bit tired tonight as I was participating in an art festival all day long and holding onto the edge of my tent for a while because it was pretty windy out and with the hurricane coming through, so I just was grabbing on a lot as the gust of winds would come through just to make sure my tent didn't fall over and my pieces go everywhere. So tonight we're going to continue on sculpting this beastie here. Since I've already started working on the top pretty well, I think tonight we're going to move on to the belly of the beast. And last time I was sculpting on this was Monday evening. Art must happen, that's right. Tonight we will continue to sculpt. And so I've marked these stripes because I wanted the fur on this thing to really be striped almost like a Dr. Seuss character. So where you see the X's, that lets me know that I want the texture on the fur there to be different than the texture on the lines here. So I'm gonna really get in on that in just a moment. So anybody that's watching now that came to the art festival today, thank you for stopping by. It was quite a successful first day, and I'm looking forward to going back again tomorrow. So as I'm getting ready to sculpt on this beastie, I'm going to get my gloves out because when you're working with Magic Sculpt, if you've never used it before, you should always wear gloves. There's something in it that when it seeps into my pores, it gives me a bit of an allergic reaction and really starts to make my eyes swell up and stuff, so you should definitely do that. So I get these black nitrile gloves, and I dig the black ones because they make me look way tougher than I am. So, glove one, and I prefer, I keep two different sizes of gloves. I keep the large and the mediums. My hands are a little bit small, so I wear the mediums when I'm doing this sculpture because I want the gloves to be really snug so that when I'm smoothing things over with water, I don't have any real wrinkles in the gloves by the time I'm doing it. That way I can get the smoother textures that I want. But I keep the large ones around for when I'm pouring liquid resin, when I'm doing mold making and stuff, because that way they go on and off a lot easier and they're not so snug on my hands. So if anybody's tuning in tonight that has never used or seen me use Magic Sculpt, it's a two-part air drying resin. I get them in these giant 10-pound buckets that hopefully you can see here. Under the bird's eye. Okay, I'm lifting it up. There's one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop out a fistful of each one, and then I'm going to mix them together. And you'll see that there's two different colors, two different shades of gray to them. And you can see as the colors start to blend together, and that once they go into one solid color, you really know that that's where sorry, the hardening agent has a little bit more of an odor than the resin. And this is a fairly new bucket, so the newer it is, the more it stinks. And I might be a little more sensitive to it today because I'm just a little bit worn out. Make sure you close that up tight. So as you can see, I've got a ball size bit of this hardening agent. Sorry for the delay on this camera. Got that. Then I'm going to get another one of the resin. Try and get it about the same size. Just gonna pinch that off. Let's see. Hold them side by side. Yep, those are about the right size. Close that tub up nice and tight. I'm going to move this beastie over a little bit just so you can see as I work the coils of this Magic Sculpt. So with either part, you can start with either one, it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to kind of roll it out into a coil just to kind of stretch it out, and it'll make it easier for the two different ones to get intertwined together. So just roll it out a good bit. This here is just a piece of Magic Sculpt from the previous session, which is now solid. Almost like a little rock. There was a little bit that I had left over, and I just didn't have it in me to work it into anything else because I kept being afraid that I was going to end up putting my fingers down into some clay that was still wet that hadn't set up. So now when you see them laying side by side, you can see that there's a light gray and a dark gray. And the idea is to twist them together and work them together so that they become one. So I'm just going to take them and twist them like a cruller. Donut. And once they start to twist together, then twist them again. And then just start working them together and then roll them out into coils and just keep it going. I hope everybody's having a lovely Saturday, and hope no one is displaced by the hurricane that's been affecting the East Coast. And I'm just going to keep working this together until it is one mid-tone gray. So, Carrie, I know you're in the room. Can you type in exclamation mark? Darn, never mind. I forgot this keyboard command. I think exclamation mark song space request. And see if you can request a song and see if it'll start streaming through the service. Oh, you got the exclamation mark. Did you? Let me know if you start hearing music, because so far I'm not hearing anything. I tried incorporating the MooBot music request feature, and it may not work yet. I may have to ask somebody that's done it before to figure out how to get it going, but I would love to have some tunes playing while I'm doing the sculpting. And the ability to let other people request songs may be cool. It may, Great, thank you. I do not want to get rickrolled in my own stream. That is so not cool. Okay, you can see that the colors are starting to come together, and it's getting a good, nice light gray. You don't see much. Pull through in the seeing strands of the dark gray in here, so I think we should be in good shape to start applying this to the beastie. Let me take a sip of water, as I have needed to hydrate a little bit more all day. I've managed to get more sun on my arms and the top of my head than I probably should have. So Carrie, are you hearing tunes? Okay. I'm gonna start with the strip at the bottom, like right under the neck, and start working that in. I know that there's about a couple inches of area that I need to cover, so I'm just gonna pull off a little bit of clay and lay it down and start mashing it down with my thumb, try and get it to cover the area that I want it to cover. Ooh, off camera. Damn, rickrolled yourself. Excellent. That's what you get for trying to mess with me. That's what you get. As I'm working this in, I'm going to spray a little bit of water onto it to make it allow it to smooth down even more. I'm going to try and get it away from the ear where I just put a lump of clay down. Just kind of work it in so that it smooths down into the styrofoam form, as well as into the rest of the sculptings, what I've already sculpted. And then what I'm going to do is I may come back in with a knife and pull out some of the clay some of the magic sculpt I just laid in, just so that it's going exactly in the area that I'd marked down with the knife. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put strips in all these sections, the ones that had X's. Then I'll come back once it's in and then start working the fur lines in. Okay? So I'm going to grab one of my sculpting tools, excuse me as I reach. Clunk. Clunkety clunk. Alright, let's see. Oh, which tools should we use? Best thing? There's a different side on the other end. I'm going to pull this one. I don't know where my old trusty favorite one is. It's okay, probably can't see it with how I have that positioned. So I'm going to take just this kind of flat knife looking version, and I'm going to take that in and surgically remove some of the excess clay right along here. And I'll just pull it away. Oh, hey, I'm out of sight. So what I did is I just took the knife along and then pulled a little piece up. Let's move that a little bit so it's in better view. And now that that's happened, I'm gonna squirt it with a little more water and smooth it down to kind of give it a little bit of a beveled edge so the fur is kind of going into the line that I want it to. And now I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom side. I'm going to cut a little bit off because I want to slice that away just a bit and give that a nice clean line. Then I'll spray it with some water, smooth it down again with my thumbsies. And I think that stripe should be in pretty good shape. You see how most of the shape is pretty uniform. And then once I come in and start working the fur texture in, it's going to show up pretty well. So now I'm just going to keep going through and doing another stripe. Now here I know that it's going to go over this part of the leg, and it's going to come back around the leg too. So this one's going to take a little bit longer to roll this into place. I'll go ahead and turn him on his side, and we'll work on the leg part first. I'm just going to roll a bit of this magic sculpt into a coil, hoping that that'll be enough to cover the area that I want, and if not, I can always put a little bit more on top. I'm just working it down with my thumb, working it down into the area that I had marked off where these stripes are going to go. Carrie, how's LEGO Dimensions going out there? Is Wyatt still having a good time? And I'm just going to smooth it down, smooth it down. And if anybody's watching that has any questions about what I'm doing, why I'm doing what I'm doing, hit me up. I would love to chat. Chatting while doing this sculpting makes everything go by a little bit faster and a little more enjoyable, even if I have been trying to talk to people all day at the art festival. And if it's just me and Carrie in here, then I totally understand as well. It is Saturday night. Excellent. About the Marty McFly bit. I'm going to put a little bit of this into his chest, keeping along the lines that I had drawn. And again, as I put it in, I spray it with a little bit of water just so that it makes it nice and easy to smooth down and work into the other clay that the magic sculpt that I already put in there. Excellent. Can Wyatt hear while he's playing, or is he totally honed in on LEGO Dimensions? I'm gonna roll this guy over and start working on this arm just a little bit. Gonna cut off just a bit up here to keep it in line with where I want it to be. Then we'll bring the clay around, and because this fur is going around the upper part of the arm, I'm gonna have to bring it all the way around it. Excellent, good. I'm glad Wyatt's got his ears listening at least a little bit. Sure do miss him when I am spending my full day at festivals or conventions. Carrie, can you try doing !Twitter and see what happens when you do that? There's supposed to be all these short codes that I think I've got going on in MooBot, and now I can't touch my keyboard because I got the gloves on. Until pizza, of course. Pizza conquers all. then continuing to just smooth this down. I'm gonna try and work this down a little bit more along the edges where the rock part is coming in, because I want to make sure that it looks like it's coming in kind of underneath the rocky edge. Cool, so when you did that, did it give you a pop-up window that you could then click on to then tweet it? Thank you for testing things out for me. Where'd my clay go? Whoops. There we are. Maybe the shortcode isn't song request. Maybe it is. You can do a Google search for MooBot song request. See what happens. Ooh, I just shoved my hand down into this wet clay. That's what happens when you're not paying enough attention to what you're doing, but that's okay. Luckily, there hasn't been any texture put in. I can quickly just smooth it on down. Huh, interesting. So I'm going to keep working this down, this magic sculpt in. Went all the way around the upper part of the arm of this beast, so that the fur, when I go to start putting fur in, it will follow that shape. And I'm going to do the same thing around the other side of this arm, and then we'll move down and do another stripey. And got that in pretty good. Now I'm just going to spray it with some water again and smooth it out. And there we go. So I think probably need to pick up some energy level a little bit somewhere along the way. Working the festival today really wore me out. Most shows I tend to stand up the entire time, and stand on your feet on concrete 10 to 5. What's that? It's for 7 hours. And after I'd been there for about an hour, finishing setting up, getting things squared away, makes me about ready for bed. But I'm gonna do this at least till 11:30 and see where the sculpting takes me. We may get so far along with this that it may need to set up and I might need to start working on something else. I'm not sure, depending on how fast this goes. I also haven't done my Inktober for the day, which is a little disappointing because so far I've been on it every day. They've all been pretty quick sketches, so I may take a break at some point and do a little of that just for fun. May need to drop the camera down for that. I don't know. Might not be far enough away or close enough for the brush work that I do, because all the Inktober stuff I've been doing, I've just been using a brush, and that was like me at, yeah, exactly. No, totally not a contest. Doing it for 2 days is a lot different than doing it for years. Bet your shoes were a little cushier. Not that it's a contest. Spray, spray, spray! Smooth, smooth, smooth. So work that down. I wonder what's happening at New York Comic Con tonight. I've never made it to that, but I think that is eventually going to be a show that I will do. I'm sure a lot of folks are having fun up there now, especially since the show is closed. Though since it's at a convention center, I'm not sure exactly what the after-hours events would be like, where they would take place. It's one of the things that's nice about like Dragon Con, is that everything is within a handful of hotels. And I'm gonna spin this beastie again. Okay, we've got a couple lines over here that I want to smooth in, and then we'll be able to throw down another line of clay. Work it down with my thumb, work it into the taxidermy styrofoam form. And the nice thing about this magic sculpt is once it really sets up, it is solid. It's going to be a nice outer coating on this shape, and it's not going to go anywhere. And I'm just going to keep on working that in. Okay, I may have to look and see what the command is for tunage. Just having some sort of sound going on in the background would be swell. Let's see. My gloves are pretty filthy, so I probably shouldn't touch my laptop. But let's see. I think you might do it. Excuse me as I stand up for a minute. And let's see. Yeah, please come in and serenade me. Here, let's see. Command list. What? I thought there were more commands. Can you, if you hit exclamation command, Carrie, you should see a list of commands. Can you try that one? All right, back to it. So I took a shower right after, not right after, but after getting back from the festival, and under these awesome heat lamps, these lights, I'm already feeling like I'm gonna need another shower before bedtime. So if you start to see sweat rolling down my head, I apologize. So far we've already worked through almost those two fistful batches of magic sculpt. I'm gonna just lay down what's left, and then I think we'll go ahead and start working some fur texture into what's laid down. Or, well, no, maybe we'll mix up another batch, because that's not really enough to cover a whole lot of this beastie. Nope. All right. Well, maybe I'll figure it out before next time. When did I call it bedtime? And I've got kids, so it makes sense. Why, thank you. True. So true. Alright, let's go ahead and mix up some more magic sculpt. I'm going to move him a little bit while I pull out some more of the two-part. Focus! Alright. I hate when the camera starts getting all wonky on us. Yep, totally missed that. I love how delayed the audio and video is still, and focus! There we go with the focusing. I'm going to mix up about the same size this time around. Get another ball of the hardening agent. It's a little bit smaller, but we'll work this in, then we'll mix up another batch. Probably do these first rows, these first stripes, then we might move on to the hands and feet. Maybe we might go back, might work on the snout or nose a little bit. Not fully sure yet. But I'll probably only do one set of stripes this evening so that I can let those set up and harden before going in and doing the other set. Because I really do want them to have slightly different grains or fur textures to them. Alright, got these two. As always, gonna make with the coils and then make with the crullers. Pull, pull, pull. Alright, the two different colors of Magic Sculpt are about to get intertwined. They're going to become one in beautiful harmony. Sorry for the tacky, awful sound of the snapping of the gloves to the Magic Sculpt. You still being Marty McFly, Carrie? It is like I'm pulling taffy, but damn, I don't want to taste this stuff. Very, very tacky taffy. Who's Wyatt playing? Right on. Wild style is always pretty fun to play. Need some more water. And that is how you drink when you've got nasty stuff on your hands. Awesome. Focus. There we go. I need a voice command for the camera. Some sort of cantrip to make it zoom in. Of course. That is how things work when you're almost 7 and a cool vehicle comes into play. Alright, now that we got some more of the Magic Sculpt mixed up, the colors all blended together so it's all one unified gray color, I'm going to work this in across the beast, across the belly of the beast. Gonna spray it down with a little bit of water to help smooth it down and work it into what I just put down with the first batch of Magic Sculpt. Come on now. Sometimes you gotta put a little bit of muscle into it and then just keep working it in, smoothing it down. And keep working it down into the styrofoam base. You really want to, when you start working it down, it really starts to get a grip onto it and helps bond it to the styrofoam base. And I've never had any of this stuff crack off. It's always like, once it's on, it's good. What's up, Drew? Thanks for joining in this evening. I will put all the muscle I can into it for you. Is your Saturday going well? Okay, got that in pretty good. I'm going to spin her around and see how it's looking on the other side. See if I have to add any more to it. It's like our own little personal chat room. Now I got to be careful and mindful of where I put my hand down since I've already got some wet clay striping on the other side. Awesome. Quiet is always good. Hey, since you go to Charleston fairly often, have you ever had Brown Dog Deli, Drew? I only ask because they just opened up a location here. I'm going to cut this down to give it a nice, fairly even line. It doesn't have to be precise, but I want it to be a little cleaner than it currently is. So I'm just going to take the knife and slice in and then scrape it away. And then I'll put it back in my existing batch of Magic Sculpt that I'm going to use. And then I'm going to do the same thing here, just kind of clean it up a little bit. And then I'll smooth it back down with a little bit of water. Color brown. Brown dog. What's it's a girl? The creature? Yeah, yeah, totally. They only have a soft opening right now, but we had it the other day for lunch, and it was quite tasty. A very nice addition to the area. And we'll find out in a minute if it's a girl, Carrie. We'll see where the sculpted knife takes me. Some things you just gotta let the clay speak for itself. It's probably our. I would have to say it's probably gonna quickly become our favorite new local spot, especially if the food stays consistent, like a similar. If everything stays consistent to what we had. Very extensive menu as well, which is pretty crazy. They have a lot of options. So now I'm just going to keep working, adding more clay to the striped areas. And then once I get this batch in, I'll start adding some of that texture. Oh, it went really well. It was windy, and so I was always like grabbing on to one of the tent poles as I stood there, because I'd get big gusts of wind, and like the walls with the sculptures would just kind of sway, and it had me a little nervous. But there was a really good turnout. A lot of people came by and picked up some small stuff, so it was a good success. I think tomorrow will be nice as well. I had a lot of went through a lot of small pocket monsters and sold all the ones of those that I had. Sold a lot of sketchbook, coloring book type pieces. Sold a couple of small like dragon heads resin pours that I had done. So all in all, it was really good, and it was received well. So that was cool. I think tomorrow will be good as well, especially since the weather is going to be awesome. Yeah. If I do, yeah, the goal of this show is to try and raise enough money to buy these pro panel pieces that at Gen Con, they were the walls that they provided. I want to get a full-on like 10 by 10 booth set, so that like when I go to Kansas in April, I can have those, because they're so light and they're easy to set up, and they look nice. They're way easier to lug around than like grid wall, which is a bitch. I'm smoothing this, the clay I'm putting down on its inner thigh. You like that, don't you? Oh, sorry. Inappropriate. This is not a stream about food, Carrie. This is totally a stream about sculpture. Yeah, but next time you're down here, we have to go there. And I'm gonna put a little more in here. Just gonna get all the area covered that I wanted. Then it's gonna be texture time. Oh my gosh, Drew, do you have release dates for all of the new LEGO Dimension stuff? Wyatt saw that, and very excited. Awesome. Their collards were quite tasty. Work this in, just smooth it down a bit. Get ready for some fur time. We were really surprised at how many LEGO Dimensions new lines were coming out. Okay, now it's the point where I've got so much clay on here in the stripes that I really got to make sure that when I'm conscious when I'm going to grab a certain area to put my hands down so I'm not putting it down into something that's still soft. Yeah, we saw the Adventure Time, and we also saw the new Ghostbusters, and we saw the B.A. Baracus. Hoping that there will be some more out by his birthday in the middle of November. But I just done a quick look while he was watching. We couldn't figure out the dates. I'm also on board with the Teen Titans Go, by the way. Damn. He is quite the excited. He also is very excited about the idea of being able to play Voldemort. Cool, right on. You playing anything exciting right now? Almost done putting this clay down on the stripes, on this first wave of stripes. Which is cool, because soon we'll get to start working some texture into this hair, this fur. Gonna spray it down a little bit more, smooth this batch in, and then see if I need to get a little bit more in here to work right where this line of fur is gonna join. Good night, Wyatt. Sleep well. I will see you in the morning. Awesome. I love you, kiddo. If you can hear me. What's Forza? I assume the FIFA is the soccer, but I don't think I know Forza. Okay, I've got this. Now that I've got these in, gonna spray down the junk area a little bit. Get it nice and wet. Smooth it down a little bit more. Cool, right on. And now it's gonna be time to start working some fur texture in. I think I'm gonna go in, I'll spray it down with some water first, and then I'm going to go in with some deeper cuts. No, I'll do that afterwards. I'm gonna go ahead and grab my rake tool. Excuse me, sorry for the head bump. Gonna grab the rake tool, which basically looks like a little tiny rake. I bought this from, I have to read it every time, I don't know why I can't remember. Cutting Edge Sculpture. They hand make all their tools, and these are really awesome. I should have cleaned these ones better last time around. I'll try and scrape this off a little bit. It's got some Magic Sculpt on it, and it would be, I need to maybe get a little bit of fine grained sandpaper and scrape this down a little bit. But I'll scrape it off with this knife and see how it goes. May have to grab an X-Acto blade and cut it down. Not cut it down, but shave it down a bit. I will save it for next time. Let's see how this goes. I'm going to spray this with some water. Let me move it so you can see a bit better. Hopefully that is better. Alright, I'm going to get this first ring of fur, spray it down pretty thoroughly with water, because once it's sprayed, it'll take the texture a bit better. I'm going to take the rake, and I'm not going to lay it down like you're raking leaves. I'm going to flip it upside down so the teeth are kind of facing up, and go in the direction that I want the fur to go. And just work this in the direction, and I'm going to bear down fairly hard on this one, because I want them to be kind of deep. I want the fur to have a deeper groove to it. I might have to stand up a little bit for this. I'm going to have to spray this a bit more, because spray, squirt, squirt. Sorry if you're seeing much of my bright red bald head. The sun was strong today. working the texture down. And when I go to paint this, having having deep grooves in here will really make it easy for painting, because the deeper the grooves, the easier it is when I go to start dry brushing it, especially once I spray paint it with like a black base coat. Then going in and doing a light dry brushing will really get it so that it's easy to paint. Easy and fast. I'm going to try and grab a paper towel and wipe the rake off a little bit. See if I can get some of the buildup from the Magic Sculpt off. Just give it a nice good tug. Yoinks. Alright. Now we're going to move on to the second row. I'm going to spray this thoroughly and just pull the same direction of the fur. When you're thinking about fur with sculpture and animals, you kind of want to think about any mammals you might have in your life or in a friend's house, and just go the same direction that you would imagine petting it, because that is, whoa, lost a finger, the direction that it's going to need to be. And I'll give it another squirt on the inside. And now, since I'm doing the fur that's starting to go around like the arm here, I'm going to pull the brush up, because that's the direction that the fur would start to go in. Because the fur generally goes in a natural line down the body, whether it's down the arm, down the back. And once I have all this in, I'm going to come back in with more of a knife tool and give some more grooves in there. And you might be able to see that there's little dots of this Magic Sculpt where it's coming up, kind of flaking up as I drag the rake across it. That's okay, because I can always sand that down with some fine grained sandpaper once it's dry, and since it's going to be lifted up to the surface a little bit. Sorry about Brisbee barking in the background. How much did you laugh? And because that is pretty funny. And at some point he should learn that that's officially against the rules. And just going to keep pulling that fur in, go in the direction of the arm. Alright, got that in pretty good. Gonna keep scraping my the rake as I go. Time for another weird backwards hand water break. And gonna spin this guy and get the next stripe. Good. It was funny, but never do it again. Hey Carrie, you want to let Beetlejuice in here? I don't think he'll be able to be seen with my head blocking in the doorway. He's starting to scrape at the bottom of the door. And I don't think anybody's going to jump up here. Hopefully. Try and keep the cats out when I'm doing the sculpting most of the time, just because they would not get along well with the Magic Sculpt. So now on the underside of the belly, I'm pulling the fur down towards the down along the belly, so it kind of goes towards the back of the body, which here is where it connects with the arm. I'm going to come back in and do a deeper cut, and then that way it will be a little bit more separation between the arm and the stomach area. Hey Beetlejuice. And where did that tool go? Don't scratch the chair. Thank you. I'm going to take this knife now and I'm going to do just a little bit of groove in here. That's going to help separate just a little bit. Then I'm going to come back and smooth it down. I need to get that a little bit more, put a little more water on it to help get it the right texture I want it to be, and then that way, there we go. It's going to help separate that quite a bit. Blend it in a little bit with my finger, and then come back and try and get just this area with the rake. There we go. Now that's going. We've got a couple more spots to hit with the rake so that the texture comes in on this fur. Then we'll turn this guy over and then see what we can do with the rest of this magic sculpt so that I stay away from the rest of the torso while that stuff sets up. So got a little water on that. Gonna just work the rake in fast and push the bear down fairly well to get those textures of the fur in there. Scrapety scrape. It's picking up a lot of magic sculpt, probably because there's still some on the rake bits itself, so it's making it easier to grab on. Should probably pick up a second one of these just to have two in my rotation. When you start getting to a place where it's harder to get into the area, sometimes I'll go reverse and just be conscious of anywhere that the dots might form from where the tips go. So you don't want to have it start looking like the fur is going backwards at all. Like right now, the tips are hitting the top of the leg area, and I'll just have to come back in and smooth that down with some water. So what sort of racing are you doing? Are you racing in a vehicle, a car? Are you racing in a motorcycle? The Drew? All right, time to work around this leg part. Beetlejuice has found his nesting place on top of my Epson printer. Gonna pull these apart just a little bit. So one of the nice things about these, you can pull them apart a little bit if things start to get a little too close together. Gonna just start scraping again, pulling the texture up. Did you mean carriage? So if he's racing a cabbage, things just got real weird. Cool. Wyatt likes playing those at like Chuck E. Cheese, except he's not tall enough to reach anything. So like I have to push on the gas while he's trying to steer, and gosh, he drives like me in video games. It's awful. Ooh, snap, I just pulled the heck out of that prong. Let's do that one over. What's up? He didn't say carriage. He said, or she said undercarriage. He's racing some undercarriage. How's the rest of your day? Recycling Bush, thank you for helping me close up the tent. Thank you. I did just say ooh snap. I don't know how it happened. It just kind of came out of me. I feel like that should be part of my regular dialogue. The Drew, I was really excited when they started sending the black gloves instead of just the blue gloves, because they totally make me feel more badass. Alright, gonna keep on pulling the texture up on this leg, and then I think we'll move on to doing some other parts of this critter. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Sorry, Drew. I just went a totally different direction with how you commented on that. Excellent. All right. The underbelly of this guy is pretty much, I just want to let that set up now before I do. Oh, psych. Yeah, when I'm really exhausted, saying snap, oh snap, and psych, that's not really part of my normal conversational dialogue. I don't know what's happening to me. Who's Hugo Strange? And I'm sorry, I should know, I would imagine. Okay, I'm gonna put a couple of other cuts in here and start working just some of these lines down a bit more to give it a bit more texture. It'll be more fun when it comes to painting. And do this some here as well. I like twisting, like laying down the knife a little bit as I go. Yep, I'm terrible. Beetlejuice, chill. Sorry, now Beetlejuice wants out of the room. He starts scratching at the door stoppers to try and get out that help kind of mute some of the noise from the rest of the house. Now I'm just going to keep on putting a few more deeper lines in here as we keep going through this fur, and then it will be time to move on to another little piece. Everything's a blessing. Alright, gonna pull some of these lines in on the arms as well. Yes, that was pretty awesome, Carrie. Here he comes. Beetlejuice is on his way out. So, did Recycling Bush, did you and the youngster do anything after, did you go and help unload groceries, as was the plan after leaving the Arts Festival? And a few more lines up in here, and then we will be ready to move it on. A lot of people kept asking if my sculptures were made of wood today. Which is interesting, so I can't imagine trying to make something like this out of wood. That would be such a pain in the ass. But I also haven't done any woodworking, so. Right on. Do either of the boys skate? Awesome. I was totally afraid of skate ramps when I was young. Kept thinking I'd be able to ride on one, and then I'd get to one, and then I'd just be like, nope, nope, not for me. All right, so now we've got some texture going on with the fur on part of this creature. Now I'm gonna turn it over and let that part set up so that we can work on some of the rest of it. I'm gonna work a little bit more in now that I see how it's coming in up here, where it's meeting the rock formation, upper part of the creature. I'm gonna work some more heavier lines in to pull it down just a little bit. It'll blend better. Feel like the fur is going a little more naturally when it's got those grooves. Yep, it is. That's just how it's got to be. It's okay if I'm behind. You guys will either wait for me or you won't. And if you don't, it's not a big deal. I will jump in when I can. Well, were you really a good skater? Because I remember you talking about skating, but I get the feeling that, I don't know, you were more like me with the skating. Used it as a mode of transportation, really enjoyed it, but weren't doing any badass tricks. Alright, I got all the grooves in that I'm going to get on this for now. Still got a big old piece of Magic Sculpt that we're going to work with, but since I really don't want to do anything else on the underbelly of this critter, let's start working on maybe start working on the hands again. So this piece had originally broken off when I had to try and pry it off of the base. Who? Did you inspire Tony Hawk? Were you his mentor? I had one of his the mini Hawk boards. I'm gonna go ahead and put this down, try and get this reaffixed to the hand. Excellent. Thought I saw you in one of his documentaries. Alright, I'm gonna let that set up there a little bit. And now I think I'm gonna come back in and rework on the antlers, because the antlers still need some work. They're not quite where I want them to be. And let's see if I can pull this over and get the antlers a little more in focus so you can see them. Alright, I'm going to build up onto here more now that this base is dry. I don't really love the texture on them, but we'll see. I'm gonna start by adding to them by adding a couple more little branch pieces. I'll work that in. This will end up, since it's Magic Sculpt going on Magic Sculpt, it will work itself in really well. It'll fuse tightly once it's all dried. Sorry guys, Amber Alert on my cell phone. Nowhere near here. Gonna just smooth that in with some water. And keep going with this. Alright, I like how those shapes are starting to take hold. I think they need to be a little bit thicker down at the base. I want the pieces that are coming off of the roots to extend out a little bit more. Feel a little more tree-like when there's more pieces coming off of them. Gonna work that in. It's one of the nice things is that if you don't like how something is, you just keep adding to it. Eventually you'll get it where you want it to be. So Recycling the Bush, did you watch Cooties yet? I'm hoping that we'll be awake enough by the time I'm done with this session that maybe we can finish it. I started falling asleep towards the end last night. I just couldn't hang. add some more pieces on here. Just gonna keep adding to it because I like the idea of this getting more branches. Whom? Did I speak incorrectly? Did you guys watch Cooties yet? No, Carrie's gonna be on you about that stuff. I think she may have even mentioned it to somebody else in your household. Or maybe we finished it and I just fell asleep. I don't know. What? You don't like that type of movie? A funny one? A funny, a humorous horror movie? Some people just don't like to laugh. All right, I'm gonna keep adding more. I'm just gonna keep adding more little pieces to these antler trees. And just keep spraying it in as I work the clay down, just so that it adheres and gets on board. Grabs on nicely. Told a couple people about Magic Sculpt today that were interested. Hopefully some more people will use it. And Jason was kind enough to talk up the Twitch stream to somebody while they were at the table, which was good. I talked about it to a couple people, so hopefully I'll get some new viewers here soon. Laughter really does pierce through you. Beetlejuice is screwing up the door jams. He is pissed and wants to get in here. It's making Brisby bark and get mad. It's gonna wake up Wyatt. The night will be ruined. It will be havoc. Whoopsies. So I'm gonna move these tools out from underneath the Lazy Susan. Oh, I moved it so I can't spin it. Let's see. Yes. Sorry for the poltergeist experience. I think I may have hit the cord that's connected to the monitor. Pardon me for just a second. Shut your face, evil demons. Be gone. Come on, monitor. Come back to me. There we go. What's up, Russ? Yeah, the fest went great. You're still at the wedding? And you're jumping on here? Thanks. Was it a good wedding? That's hilarious, Jason. Thanks, man. I'm glad you're digging it. Festival was great, Russ. Today was really a good day. I think tomorrow will be good as well. I'm tired, but you know that's cool. I'm looking forward to seeing more faces tomorrow and hopefully selling some more stuff. keep working this antler a little bit more. And then I'll spin it back around. I think you get a better view when it's spun around. I just want to pull this piece up a bit. Alright, get this moving and keep this going up. And now I'm going to spin it back around and keep adding some more to these antlers. Let's see, okay. And you're seeing it a little bit with this camera. I'm going to tilt this other camera a bit. See if you can see that a bit more. There we go. And I'm going to add some more branches down here. I'm just doing little coils, spinning them, then working them onto the existing antlers, pushing them down, making sure they get a good grip, and spraying it with a little water to smooth it in. And then I'm going to come back in just a little bit and add some more texture to it. But not yet. I want it to set up a little bit, get a little firmer. Can't hear anything? Huh. Excellent. Oh, you probably can't hear anything because you're at a wedding and don't have any audio on it, I would imagine, or that the music is jamming because people are moving and shaking their asses like they should be, getting their groove on. I assume that was just Russ that can't hear anything and not everybody else, since my computer got possessed a moment ago by the poltergeists. Yeah, it was good. Tell him to shake his groove thing, since he won't be able to hear me. Alright, we're almost as far as I want to go with these antlers, I think, as far as the basic shapes. Cool, awesome, good. Must just be because he's at a wedding and can't have the volume on his phone, because that would just be a little bit weird, but it's awesome to be at a wedding and watching me sculpt. Everybody should do this at weddings. They should just stream my shit all the time. So, Drew, of Excellent, good. Of course you're a sweaty mess if you're channeling my moves. Drew, so since I'm new to the Twitch scene and I'm not really a gamer, after I created my name, The Brian Colon, I realized that pretty much everybody has these, strange handles that just are some sort of inside thing to them. Does the Brian Colon sound like some sort of some pretentious asshole? I get the impression that when people read it, they think I might be a jerk. And if it does, I don't know what to do, because I can't change my username. Unless I just started over from scratch, because you can't go in and change your username. Because I looked into that. Well, but that's not really your name. Adding the before my name, I think sounds might just be a little too, I don't know. Right on. Well, that's cool. I don't feel so weird now about it then. Thank you for making me more secure with my username. Although the null makes me think of the nail. this is going to be a good one for Jason. The Nail, the Rob Zombie comic book, pro wrestling horror comic book. Jason, you should read it. Okay, I've decided I'm going to go ahead and put another piece down in the back because I think it needed it. Something with how the clay was connecting there just didn't look quite right. But now it will, once it's all done. Now it will look delicious. Alright, I got those in. Dig into how these are looking. Let me see if I can get you a front side view. Can you see those antlers alright? I think nicks are usually for a combination of anonymity and getting a name that isn't already taken everywhere. Right on. I will keep on doing my thing. If you look at the small little camera, you might be able to see the antlers a little bit better. I don't really want to turn it, well, I can turn it on its back. I just don't want to accidentally grab into the clay that I've got going on. Doing it from the bird's eye view camera. Get you in there. Come on. Alright. There we go. We've added a bunch of pieces to the antlers to make them feel a little more developed. And now I'm going to put a little more texture up in there. Okay. Now I'll spray it down with some water. And I'm going to take this tool over here. Pardon me as I reach. I'm going to take this tool that is generally used for pulling clay away from a piece, but it's got these nice grooves around here that are going to help give this texture, start to pull some texture in real fast. And it gives it really interesting texture when you're trying to do wood-like pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that in. I think that'll add a nice little layer of dimension to this that wasn't in the antlers before. Just pulling it along and twisting it as I go, just seeing where the grooves go, seeing where it takes me. Because one thing that's nice is you can, for me, since a lot of this is trial and error and seeing where it goes, a lot of times it'll do things that that you don't expect and are like the Bob Ross would say, happy little accidents. Pull these up, pull it in here, push down a little bit. With the corners you can just kind of push in a little bit, and that'll sometimes give interesting little knots in the wood texture that you might not normally do with just using a knife or a flat blade. Carrie's in the chat room trying to convince you to come meet our kitten, and holy smokes, Zelda is by far the sweetest kitten we have ever had. Not to pick a favorite or anything, but she is awfully sweet. Okay, got that one in good shape. Actually, I want to get inside this little knot right here, and then that'll be good for that one. Pull this down. Now I'm gonna do this side, gently touching the pieces so they're not completely getting knocked around. And then gotta come up here, just making sure I put some texture into all the new elements that I added so it doesn't end up looking like there's pieces that are just slapped on. And pulling up through here as well. Alright. Spinny. Got all the ones over here. Just gotta double check myself. There's some roots down here that need a little bit of grooving on. And then up here as well. Alright. Can't believe that we've already been in for an hour and 15 minutes. The evening is cruising by. Digging how this guy's turning out so far. Let's see, I almost missed a little bit right here. Let's pull that down in. Gonna spin it around again. Take a peek at this side. Yeah, I'm sorry that I'm tired and my words do not make the sense. Do you see my head and my face? Do you see how much sun I got? My brain is damaged from all of the sun today. I mean, seriously, it's very red up there. Tomorrow I must make with the sunscreen. And work some of that down inside. And a little down here as well. Oh, you cannot see anything I'm doing. Sorry, guys. I did say grooving on. I've said a lot of really stupid stuff tonight. We could even, you know, based on tonight's episode, if I did more streaming like this, where like right after a art festival or like a trade show or something, convention, could totally make this into a drinking game. Stupid shit Brian says. So we've got grooving on. Shoot, I can't remember. There were at least 2 more. That or some that could work into some silly, ridiculous stuff. Yep. Okay. Still got a fistful of this magic sculpt we're going to work in here tonight. Maybe even more, I don't know. But let's see. I really want to work on the nose, but I'm afraid to pick it up because I don't want to touch it. I don't want to touch it in the wrong place and have it not work out right while it's still drying. So we will refrain from that. Okay, so Thumbsies wasn't even on there, but yeah, I guess that one works. I think I said Psych. There was one other one. It was like bad, like 90s term. I'm glad this is the ultimate drinking game. I wish somebody else was playing with you. I mean the drinking game, darling. Alright, so I just picked that up. Let's make sure I didn't smash any of the fur under the arm. Okay. I'm going to start building on some adding to the feet, which is not going to be super exciting for you because it's going to be hard to see because it's underneath the creature. I'm just going to add on a little bit here just to start building out the shape, and then we might have to move on to something else just because I'm going to have to let this guy set up and dry before I can do a lot more. That's one of the things when working on bigger pieces like this, when you've got to work all these different angles of the creature. Sometimes you do a little bit, then you just gotta wait to get it set up. So I'm gonna spin this guy around. Right now I'm working on the base of this foot. I'm blocking clay in, blocking the magic sculpt in just to get a rough shape on it. I'm gonna try and give this more of a human type foot because I want it to have certain elements and aspects to this creature that make it so when somebody's looking at it, they can start to relate to it on a more, I don't know, just be able to relate to it a little bit more and make it feel like it could be real. And human-like hands and human-like feet tends to do that. Something about it, especially then with the eyes in there. So the feet will probably look like hobbit feet because I got short, stubby hobbit feet and all my feet tend to look the same. Just gonna roll out a little coil, wrap it around the back to start working on its heel. And I'm starting to feel this clay starting to get a little tougher because it's been out for a little while. It's been mixed together for a bit, which is right about the perfect toughness for starting to add texture. Done. All right. Might need to add some more to that list as well as as these go by. I dig the train shot a lot. Though I don't think I've heard the train tonight. I'm gonna get the tunes fixed. I'm gonna figure that stuff out. Somebody more skilled with the Twitch is gonna help me figure out making the music happen. I know I'm like 5 episodes in now and still none of the music, but it will happen. I do say Revelo. I should say Revelo. That's where all my beasties come from. But that's not really a... Is that really a drinking game part aspect of it? You tell me. I don't know. And if we're doing this drinking game, where is my cocktail? Okay. Let's see. I'm trying to see if there's a way for you to see this a little bit. So I'm starting to work some little toe nubs on there. Yep, every time I said Revelo would lead to an ambulance ride. Probably a few. Maybe not a lot, but at least maybe 2 or 3, because I think I got at least 3 viewers. I'll take some water for now. It's hard to, I would imagine it would be hard to drink out of a whiskey glass, doing my fists backwards like that and grabbing on with my backwards knuckles. What the heck are you watching in there, Carrie? The music that I'm hearing through here is really strange. Alright, gonna put down a little bit of work some like knuckles onto these feet, and then I'm about done with this one foot. Well, I'm actually about done with this batch of magic sculpt, so I'm debating whether or not I should mix up some more and start sculpting on something else while this sets up. Oh, right on. Big silly straw. Big silly straw would be perfect. It'll be like call it the swizzle sip. Time for a swizzle sip. And then everybody has to drink every time I say that too. Perfect. So I'm almost done putting this base down with this foot. I'm going to come back around with this knife and cut around the bottom backside of it, because I want to try and make sure this is nice and clean, the shape that I want. And when I pull that away, I'm just going to add those little bits of magic sculpt back to my working material. No, I don't need a bourbon with a silly straw right now. I've only got about a half hour left. And I really need to pee anyway, and if I started drinking a bourbon, then I'd have to super pee, so I'm going to try and hold out till the 11:30 mark. And then if all of a sudden I just jump up and run away and everybody's like, where'd he go? It'll just mean that I just could not hold it anymore and I was about to wet the floor. And I don't want to pee in my office floor. Drew, can you make a list of all these beautiful, brilliant ideas that you've been saying? Because whenever I do finally get my own emoticons, there will be one of those. Or Carrie, can you make a list of what he is saying? Yes, every time I pee or poop my pants, you definitely need to finish your drink. And then go ahead and pour yourself another one. Man, Tuesdays are going to be rough for some people. All right, so let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and find a good place to pick this guy up. So I know that under the chin I haven't sculpted anything, and right on the top of the ridge of the eyebrows, I'm also gonna stick my thumb in its butt and lift him off and show that I've started to put the foundation down on his foot. Let's see if I can get that in a good spot. So it's not a whole lot of detail yet, but I'm really blocking it out so that I can come back in and put the detail in. I've also got the underbelly in good shape for the first row of fur. And I'm gonna set him back down. And I'm gonna drop this last little batch of Magic Sculpt just down on his foot so it can start to get something on there. Let's see. I don't know if I want to mix up a whole lot more, because I'd like to be able to turn him on his side so you can see me sculpting on his foot. So I think that being said, we're at 11. I think I should probably grab something else to sculpt on and go from there. All right, yeah, that's what's going to happen. Pardon me for just a second. So we got these $6 Halloween decorations at Target with the intention of making them the weird. So I'm going to take this beastie away, put him down over on my table over here. Actually, now I'll just set him down on the floor. And now, I'm gonna work on this guy. It's a little frog that we're gonna sculpt on top of. Oh, I'm back, don't worry, I'm back. I'm going to, since that focus is real bad, give me just a minute and I'm gonna drop the camera down so that we can see more of the details. Just take a moment, sorry for shaky cam, you might wanna look away for just a minute. Whoa. All right, this is gonna be good once I get that squared away. Almost there. All right. I think you can probably look. It won't be super shaky. Hang on. Almost there. What am I doing? All right. All right, there we have it. Sorry about that. Now let me get him in a good place. If it would only catch up with me, it would be great. All right. So we got this little frog here that we got at Target. He was $6. I like the idea of sculpting on top of him and making him into something completely different. So I'm gonna dry off my hands a little bit. I'm getting dishpan hands from being in the gloves with my sweaty hands. But the gloves are an important part of this magical adventure. Focus. Yes. I like that that works. I feel that it has to do with the voice that I use. Ah. Focus. I hate when the camera starts pulsing. Boom, 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 boom. So now that my hands are nice and moist, it makes it harder to get inside of these medium-sized gloves. Carrie's gonna try and come in and hand me a cocktail without jumping in. Thank you. You made it on camera. You are officially part of tonight's stream. So I don't know if you guys can see, but apparently I now have a whiskey with a swizzle straw. So, as I try and get these gloves on, I will take a magical sip. I've not drank bourbon out of a straw. Good thing there's only a half hour left. You guys do 2 shots. I'm not doing that. Fair enough. Yes, Kermit totally gets a coat. All right. All right. Got the gloves on. Not quite. Oh, snap. Carrie, just so you know, Zelda snuck in the room. If she gets up here while I'm sculpting, I'm going to have you come in and grab her because I don't want to touch her with the sculpting gloves. Where did she go? Oh, she's sneaking around behind me. Hopefully she's just heading to the litter box, which will be fun for you guys if you get to hear her scratching at the litter. Everybody wins. Okay, I'm going to mix a smaller ball this time. This isn't a very big creature, and I'm not sure where I'm going to go with this. So let's start smaller. I can always add to it in a bit. Who, me? What did I do? Straws and bourbon. It is. All right, 1 ball of that is the resin. Now it's time for the hardening agent. Ugh. That stuff is stanky. All right, got the hardening agent. Take a little pinch of that away. Pretty close to equal parts. I did not say that. I did not say that, so that doesn't mean you guys have to drink. Jason, you can say that all day long. Okay, I want to move this guy up. I'm trying to give myself a good point of reference for where I should be sculpting on this one now that I've got the cameras on. Just gonna see if this diffusing that light makes the head of this any less hot with the color, but it doesn't. All right. As always, taking the 2 different colors of the Magic Sculpt and mixing them together until they become one harmonious color of light gray. Fair enough. Did I? I thought I said, oh damn, but I might have said, oh, you know, I'm not saying it. I'm gonna take a sip anyway. All right, this Magic Sculpt's almost mixed up to the perfect consistency and color. You can still see a little bit of marbling in here. Maybe you can't. There we go. All right, gonna move this. I'm not going to say it. You can't make me say it. You can trick me into saying it, but just demanding it will not make it so. Okay, so I don't want to sculpt right on top of this cutting mat because I use that pretty regularly. I'm going to grab a piece of foam core out of my flat files. Hey Zelda. Sorry for the loud noise. Okay, grabbed a piece of styrene. Just going to drop this frog critter on top of that. That way I don't have to worry about messing up the cutting board any more than I already have. I'm going to go ahead and turn the head a little bit. Well, I think that's as far as it's going to go. Should I open the mouth up and do it that way? Perhaps like this. All right, I'm gonna sculpt it like this and see where it goes. First, I'm just gonna grab little ball of the magic sculpt. I'm going to pinch it into 2 relatively equal balls. The idea here is that I think I'm going to take those eye sockets and make those into little tusk sockets. So I'm just going to take that magic sculpt and start rolling it into a tusk-like shape. Then do the other one as well. Now with this magic sculpt just being put together, like the 2 parts mixing together, it's still really soft. So I'm just gonna get this in here for right now, and then we'll come back and we'll add details to it after it's had a little bit of time to start to cure. Just gonna push it in with my thumbs, maybe start to get a rough idea on the shape. And so, since I don't really have any real direction on this creature, I didn't sketch it out ahead of time, I'm just kind of going with it. We're just gonna start sculpting and see what this thing turns into. Sometimes these are the funnest, sometimes they end up turning out pretty weird and I don't end up loving them, but we'll see. If anybody has any thoughts or suggestions along the way, I'll take them. I may not use them, but I will definitely take them. Alright, so starting to get some shape there. So since this jaw, I'm not really going to use it, I don't think. I'm going to sculpt on top of it. I might see if I can snap it off and use it for something else later. It looks like there's 2 little screws in there. Okay, I think it's going to be easier to just sculpt over top of it. So I did say I was going to try and, snap it off. I think you heard that. Horns? Well, I've got those tusks in the front. So let's see. I'm going to put this shape on here, thinking that might turn into a nose as we progress. Now I'm going to start yeah, you are. Like a horny toad lizard. I'm going to start building up this shape here as I start to build out the head a bit more. This may have to be a 2-part sculpt just so that I can make some eyes to go into it, because I don't have any eyes ready. So I'm gonna just keep adding more to it, and then hopefully this time around I'll get it where the head is fixed in one position so that next time I add to this, it doesn't move around too much. Just laying down some base. And keep mashing the magic sculpt down into place. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and give it a little squirt of water so that I can smooth it down a little bit more. I'll make it a little more pliable. See how that when I add the water, it really smooths into the different pieces of magic sculpt that I put down and really start smoothing into one another. Alright, and gonna keep moving on this, seeing where this critter goes. Turn that head a little bit. I think I'll put a little, I kind of like the idea of those being horns now, and almost like looking at it like putting an eye here and making it like a cyclops. So let's see where that goes. Especially if we fill this part in and bring another horn up in the center of the head. Anybody else have any thoughts or ideas on where this creature should go? Do you like the idea of a cyclops toad-like creature? Or some sort of lizard cyclops? Hope you guys get to hear that. That's Zelda using the litter box. Score. All right, now it's really starting to, the texture is starting to be workable, moldable a little bit nicer. So I'm gonna use some water on these here so I can get it nice and smooth how I'd like it, and then we'll come back in a little bit and put some cuts and grooves into it maybe. And work a little more down into this. Almost there. Stay on target. All right, I like how that's starting to come together. Squirt it down with a little bit of water to smooth this out a little bit. And then, you know what, I'm gonna drop this down a little. See if you can see that and still see my face. Whoa, shit. Excuse me. Not used to having that there. Stand by for a minute. All right, so that swizzle straw may not be the right choice for me, or I may have to just get used to it being there, because there went all of the bourbon. Luckily, I have paper towels standing by, and this apron is super thick, so it's cool. Even though it spilled all over me, it's not leaking through to my shorts. It's just giving me a nice, cool, refreshing feeling. Yeah, F you. F you. Oh, you know what the best part is? Zelda is now like looking on the floor trying to lick up some of this bourbon. Yes, that was a lot of bourbon. I will have to wait until I'm done my sculpt before I get some more. I'll take a little sip while I've got the gloves off. All done for now. Gosh, Zelda is loving it. I soaked it all up off the floor, but she's like, oh, let me find some bourbon. Let me find some bourbon. All right, I'm gonna put these gloves back on and try and use up the last of this here magic sculpt for calling it a night. I'm hoping that sometimes when I'm sculpting on the weekends, I might make these 2-hour stretches go into 3 or 4 hour stretches, but it's not going to be tonight with the art festival again tomorrow. I know I don't have to be there till 10, but I want to try and get there at like 9 to finish setting everything up, or take the walls down and set everything back up, walk around, look at other artists' stuff. All right, we are back in the business. Where was I? I was looking at smoothing this down a little bit more. And let's see. I'm gonna maybe work on, I'll wait on working on a little bit of the mouth on there for now. I'll squirt this down, work this in a little bit. Let's take a little bit off, start building up some of the legs of this creature. Start doing some knees. I'll start doing the back legs. I don't think I'll end up having any of the bone structure show through. Maybe some of the underside of the rib cage. But hey, you know how I said I had to pee before? Having the cold whiskey in my lap has only intensified the desire to make with the urination. But I feel like on a 2-hour chat, 2-hour stream, I shouldn't need to get up and use the bathroom. Should be able to make it work for those 2 hours. Alright, starting to beef up this thigh of this creature, at least to get a foundation down, and then I'll probably come back and start adding the texture on it next time with this guy, because I think this one's definitely going to be like a 2 or 3 sculpt session, maybe just 2, just depending on where we go with this, but then that'll give me enough time to create an eye for it, since he would be a Cyclops. He, she, it. Spin this around. Just keep looking at it as I go, since I'm not fully formulated on what this thing's going to be. But since I'm trying to do it fairly symmetrical as I go, as I start pulling pieces of clay or magic sculpt, I'm just going to make similar shapes, put them in similar places, and then roll with it and see where it goes as I build out the back. One of the things that I want to do right now with building out the back is attaching it to the magic sculpt that I put on the back of the head to keep this head from moving, since it was a point of articulation on this skeleton creature that we bought, the skeleton frog. So now I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit to the upper arm of the frog creature. And then same thing over here, and I forgot to follow my rule in what I just said about trying to pinch off the same amount for both sides. I think pinching off should be one of the drinking words as well, or drinking phrases, because it just sounds so wrong. And I say it a lot when I'm talking about the magic sculpt. Drew and Carrie, did I lose you when I lost the whiskey? I will totally understand. Alright, gonna put that in on the calf type area. Haha, good, awesome. Carrie may have passed out though. She was pretty tired earlier. Alright, let's see. Gonna try and keep working this calf in. See that I'm still following the overall shape of the skeleton as I start to build out the foundation, which may completely change as we move along from here, but this gives me a good starting point. I totally dig finding random pieces and sculpting on top of them, adding to them, and changing them to fit my creature's worldview. Ooh, I like how this knee now is starting to come up into like a spiky type shape. Gonna have to follow that through on the other side. That was just from pulling the water a little bit, having the wet magic sculpt. There we go. Let's make it a little more evil looking. Yeah. I'm gonna put a little bit more down on the back, and then I'm probably gonna go ahead and, while this is wet, try and work a little bit of texture into the spikes and into the horns, just so that if I decide I don't want to add any more clay to that because it's going to start bulking out pretty fast, I don't have to. Now, or maybe I should leave the back for now. I think I may end up leaving some of the ridge of the spine showing through. So let's work on some of these arms a little bit. Had a little bit of magic sculpt to it. I'm going to try and figure out a good holding place so I'm not messing up what I've already placed on. Strategically grabbing it by its pelvis. Give it a little bit of a squirt and then smooth it down a bit. And this should set up real nice on here. I probably won't add any texture to the limbs yet because I have to decide exactly what texture I want want this to take once I start having a better idea of the overall form and creature that it's going to be. And I may from here take this and then do some concept sketches once I've got this initial layer down, since we just kind of jumped into this piece. And then Monday on my next sculpting jam, I will continue on the creature that we were working on earlier tonight. And then depending on how that goes, I may jump back into this one. Let's see. Just trying to see where I want to add a little bit more to it. Go ahead and put some in the chest plate area. Smooth it down a little bit. Alright, gonna put a little here, and then I'm gonna throw some texture onto it. See where it goes. This will give us a foundation for the chest plate. It'll start to strengthen up once this magic sculpt sets up, and then I'll really be able to sculpt a lot more onto it in the next phase. Hey Zelda, please don't come up here right now. I don't want to have to touch you with these gloves, but I will pick you up soon. The stream is almost done for the evening. Then we'll get our little cuddles in. Ooh! So I was working on this thing, pushing on it so hard that this piece snapped off. So I might have to glue that on and then continue sculpting on it and pull the magic sculpt in to help reinforce it. Actually, I'll take some of this right now and jam it into the piece, and then really force it together to get it started. Now she's okay for now. I'm almost done. She's just happy to be around me. Can you hear her crying? Okay. That's about as far as I'm going to be able to go with that leg. I need this to harden up so that I can then put it back together. That being said, I'm going to spray these horns a little bit and get some grooves in there. I'm going to take this blade and cut it, take this blade and I will cut into the back, just kind of pull couple of lines up. And do some in this horn as well. I know, Zelda. I'll be done soon. And then cut a couple more grooves in. Alright. I think that's all that we're going to be able to do for this evening on that one. Just because I'm going to need to attach this leg in a way. Put a little in here. Alright, I'm going to try and smooth this in just to get some of it together. And then I'm definitely going to be building out the whole back side of it and its back so that once this is together, it's a solid piece and there isn't any chance of it snapping off. Keep smoothing these strange knees out. Okay. I'll pull this up a little bit, get it nice and smooth. And then the next time we sculpt on this guy, I think he'll really start to take shape. Yeah, get that backside. So in review of tonight's 2-hour sculpting session, we started on this one after putting a lot of stuff onto the previous guy, and we'll keep working on that one Monday night from 9:30 to 11:30. But I'm going to have to go ahead and call it quits for the evening because I really have to pee. And we're about 5 minutes out from when we were going to shut down anyway. And tomorrow's going to be a busy day for me with the Arts Festival, Carrollton Arts Festival continuing on. And now Zelda can come up since I took the gloves off. If anybody's in the West Georgia area and wants to come out to the Carrollton Arts Festival, it's on from 10 to 5 tomorrow. And then I will be back streaming Monday night, Wednesday afternoon, and Saturday night. So thanks everybody for joining me on my quest. Anybody have any questions before I shut this thing down? Giving it a minute just because I know there's a delay on the chat. All right, good night, Drew. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. And also, if this is Zelda, if you haven't seen her. All right, good night.